Hi, this is Lanna Souvanny, and you're listening to the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Lanna Souvanny about her recent artistic creations and her plans for Toronto Comicon 2024. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. Toronto Comicon is a spectacular 3-day sci-fi, horror, anime, gaming, and comic book event in Canada that attracts thousands of people to come to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. Lanna is a freelance writer based in Vancouver. She's worked for French event company TGS Avament, creating all their visual communication campaigns and all of the mascot family for their pop culture events. Lanna's comic book work includes a Pix story and a Pix adventure. In 2017, Bliss Comics published the French version of Love is Love, where Lanna provided the art of a story written by Kachu Scarlet and Red. She co-created Noah's Ark with the legendary Mark Waid in the comic book story found in the Steel Cage one-shot published by Ahoy Comics. Lanna shares her life with 3 balls of fur and a big talented music man. She claims to love Nordic countries and carries Iceland in her heart. One of her more recent comic books is Marvel Action Comics Origins No. 4. Marvel Action Origins No. 4 shares the most important moments in Marvel history with young readers 2 at a time. In this issue, Miles Morales picks up the mantle of Spider-Man after his own spider bite. Then, an experiment gives Rhino superhuman strength that he immediately uses for evil. So without further ado, here's my chat with Lanna Souvanny about her recent artistic creations and her plans for Toronto Comicon 2024.
Lanna Souvanny, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thank you, John, for having me again.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. I remember the last time we met up wasn't really comic book related, but I was out in Vancouver for the Seagraph show, and you kindly came out, and we had a good evening and everything, and it was great there being in Vancouver. I tell you, it's a very nice place.
Yeah, it is. When it's not raining, it's a very nice place, exactly.
That's true. There you go. Well, before we get to all the questions, I'd like to ask you, what are you reading today? What's on your bedside reading table?
So it's not a comic, but it's like a lifestyle kind of book. It's a very popular one. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving Something.
Yes.
And it's basically a book of going through like several life advice to not to take things too personally, or like sort of losing up for every kind of aspect that we might be putting too much pressure on, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good thing for as an artist to sometimes taking stuff not too seriously and let go. So
right. Okay, that's a good one to read for sure.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking today because you're going to be tabling at Toronto Comicon that's coming up very soon. So I'd like to ask you, what is it about conventions and festivals that you like the most?
I really love connecting with, first of all, all the other artists that I might just know by name, or that I've never got the occasion to meet in person, and to meet also the public who like putting a face on somebody who would read the book I've been working on, or just who appreciate my art. So that's most of what I like it in conventions. Yeah,
that's good stuff. Do you remember any past festival or convention experiences that really stand out? Was there like a famous person you met, or you had a great interaction with someone? Is there any particular thing?
Yeah, I remember it was back when I was in France. I was at that time not exactly in the industry, but I was volunteering at a convention, and I got to meet one of the biggest artists that I admire, who is Claire Wending. And she also worked in the comics, and but she mostly do illustrations, and she used to work in animation as well. And she's a big reference for lots of artists, even the biggest of like here right now. I mean, so yeah, Claire Winling is like meeting her was like a dream coming true.
That's cool.
And yeah, being able to discover that she's actually a real person and a very nice person, so that's even better.
That is fun, that's for sure. Now, I was just on your website and noticed you also, beyond comic books, also do visual development, and you worked on the
Yes.
Netflix animated feature Leo. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. That's a
Thank you.
great thing. Now,
Yeah.
I got to ask you this question though. Do you have a preference? Would you rather be doing animated type of work, or would you rather be doing comic book art?
I think it's the mix of them, like alternating. When I started working in animation, I've done. I think I was just finishing working on Marvel Action Origins, and I was thinking that would be nice to, yeah, to just to change a little bit from time to time. And now that I finished working on Leo, I'm ready to get back to comic books. So yeah, it's just like to change something, like to get stuff not to how to say it?
Get in a
Yeah,
rut?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
none of your work is a rut, that's for sure. And speaking of your work, I'm wondering, do you have anything planned to be on your table for fans to see when they come to see you at Toronto Comicon?
Yeah, I will bring some prints that are like the covers that I've made for the comics, and so I will have prints from them of them, and some copies of the Marvel Action Origins,
Ah,
and
nice.
also I will have like some original art.
Mm.
So yeah, and maybe doing some commissions. Why not?
Very good. Something to look forward to for sure. I'd like to ask you, what is your go-to tool for creating comic book art these days? What are you using?
What I use is called Clip Studio Paint. I mean, it's my favorite program. You have it on PC or Mac, and they have several type of setup. So you can either have a setup for doing just illustration, or you have another one to make comics. So you will have like all your pages on a specific window. So you have like overview, which is pretty cool. And yes, and then it's quite complete.
Mm-hmm,
So yeah,
mm-hmm.
that's my go-to.
Oh,
Sure.
very good, very good. Now, we talked about a couple of the projects you worked on, Marvel Action Origins. I'm wondering, are there any upcoming projects that you can talk about? Any upcoming comic books?
Right now, I'm not having any comic books project, although I'm trying to develop one of my own, which will be based on my roots, I'd say, because my parents are from Laos. So I would like to make a connection with this and try to figure out if I can make some short story about that.
Ah, yeah, I've heard of a lot of people dig into their past, so to speak,
Yeah.
to come
Yeah.
up with unique stories that only they can tell. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty
That's
cool.
something, yeah, I regret a bit, like having not more, having quite cut this part of my origins, let's say, like Marvel Action. But yeah, I'm
Is that
looking
something?
forward to it.
Are you targeting it for this year, or you think more realistically next year?
No, yeah, more realistic next year. Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah, that something like that would take some time to get
yeah,
done for
to
sure.
gather all the info.
Yes.
But yeah,
Okay, that's cool. Something to look forward to. Now, you've been working in the comic book field for a while, so I want to ask you, what is the one piece of advice that you would pass along to someone? Let's say they came up to your table at Toronto
yeah.
Comicon and they wanted to make their first comic book. They say, "I'm working my first comic book." What was the one piece of advice that you would pass along to that person?
Definitely going to network and go to like conventions and go to see the professional that could give you any piece of advice that can, or just getting to know you more. And of course, you need to have like quite a good foundation for in drawing and writing, or what can base your story. But yeah, and then keep your network up to date and having fun. Keep learning on what's going on today, what's working, what's appealing also, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How did you get started, by the way? I should have asked you that question. How did you get started in comic books? Did you
Yeah.
just fall into it, or was it just something you want to do, or how did it go?
It was I kind of fall into it, but because I got to meet one of my very good friend, Porono, who is already well settled in the industry. So yeah, thanks to him, at that time I was just doing like some tiny drawings like of characters without any story background. And he just said, yeah, you should do something like creating a story about around that character. And little by little, he helped me building my first comic book, and that's making a loop with my my advice for going to conventions, because I got to share this story and to show my portfolio to professionals. And I got my first gig with Boom Studio, and I got to do a cover for them. So yeah, that's how I got into
That's
the
cool.
industry.
So networking really does help then. It really pays off.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So with all the work that you've got on the go and the future work, I'm wondering, where do you recommend people go online to find out about your current and your future projects?
Definitely Instagram. I think that I'm mostly active on that specific social website. And I have my website, but it's just mostly I have just a specific selection on it, and it's more turned to visual development.
And people can find you on Instagram at Lanna Souvanny.
Yeah.
And that's with two N's in Lanna and 2 N's in Souvanny. So there you go.
2 N's everywhere.
Very good.
Thanks to Lanna for the chat. You can discover more about Lanna online at lannasouvanny.com. That's LANNASOUVANNY.com. And on Instagram at Lanna Souvanny. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website. True North Country Comics is on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel and hit the notification button. And remember, you can follow at True North Country Comics on most social media sites. If you have a question, concern, or just want to know what's going on, send me an email at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2024.